Welcome to a frightening Halloween week of Geary, Stein, and Stevens. No, don't adjust your monitors or wherever you're listening to our podcast. Good evening, I'm Dave Stevens, and welcome to a Halloween week edition of Geary, Stein, and Stevens. And we have a great show for you tonight. We've got a Olympic gold medalist who also happened to win a World Series. I'm not going to give it away yet, but let me bring in my co-host who happened to be in Minnesota, where our guest tonight played a little bit of his career. Troy Geary joining me up in Duluth. And, of course, Will Stein down in the lower part of the state, down in near the Twin Cities. Hello, Troy. How are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great, Dave.
And, Will, are you staying warm?
I'm trying to. That introduction gave me a little bit of chills down my spine, but I'll warm up after that.
Yeah, seeing my face could scare anybody. So then those of you listening in a podcast, you're in for a treat because you don't have to look at my face. But we are welcoming all of our listeners and our viewers on our podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. And, of course, our people that watch us and follow us on the screen here on YouTube, Ability Media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all the places wherever you can watch these things, too. It's a great night for tonight. And I'd like to introduce our guest. In fact, our guest had a song written about him. So rather than let me introduce you, let me hear the song that it's about, tonight's guest.
Doug Meintkiewicz plays first base for the Minnesota Twins. A 2000 Olympic gold medalist, he is both a defensive force and a bruising hitter who can crush the ball like a flabby grape. And his 12-letter, 7-consonant last name is so hard to pronounce that the children's program Schoolyard Rock made a song about it. And here it is.
Doug Meintkiewicz, his size and speed are due to genetics. He's a tribute to the joy of phonetics. Say Meintkiewicz. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how you spell Meintkiewicz.
Meintkiewicz!
Put Doug in front and you've got his name. Won't you come on out and see a game and cheer for Doug Meintkiewicz?
Doug Meintkiewicz. Say it, don't spray it.
All right. Not many of my guests have their own theme song. Doug, have you heard that thing before?
I didn't hear it, but I'm pretty sure I know what it was. It was his last name in Minnesota. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it's funny what you find when you're doing your research. But, yeah, baseball legend Doug Meintkiewicz joining us tonight on the Geary, Stein, and Stevens show down from Florida. But, Doug, it's great to have you on the show. What are you doing down in Florida? You staying dry?
Trying to. Just trying to dodge hurricanes and my son's high school baseball team. So I saw because I felt like I haven't seen my son play. I went to a Rotary Club meeting with a buddy of mine. Short, they introduced me as the high school coach, and I said I wanted to watch my son play. I don't want to coach him. So I'm doing it, and I've been doing it for 2 years now, and going into my third. So, but it's more quality time with my boy.
And it's awesome that you do have that opportunity after a long major league career, and you know, you had a lot of great stops and a lot of great memories. Taking some time tonight to talk baseball. Have you been watching the postseason at all? Are you shocked by what's happened? I mean, we've seen teams that were nowhere near the top that are now playing in the World Series.
No, I've watched almost every time of year to watch it. People say that baseball is born to it. Then. I go by what Coach at Texas A&M. He talks about his football team. He talks about you see a lot. If you see a lot, you see nothing. And a lot of that quote kind of means a lot to baseball, because if you just watch baseball, stare at the whole entire thing, it's kind of boring in and watch the pitcher, watch the hitter, the catcher, stuff that it goes on. It's very intriguing. So playoffs, and I'm pretty sure that Houston. I predicted. I've done so many of these. I thought in the beginning. I thought Philly had a legit chance of making. They've been playing, with their backs against the wall for. They're battle tested. They got a bunch of guys who've been on there. Your alpha male and Bryce Harper locked in the way he is. You got a bar. Houston's just a whole different animal. You have your core guys, and they're who's one of their best hitters, all-around hitters. Verlander at the top of the rotation, and also in those guys who are still in control, not too expensive. That's what the difference. That's how you sustain, and that's how to me the Yankees are built for October. So Houston, if you have guys who are willing to take what the game gives you, meaning the ball's away, they're going to shoot it the other way when the shitter. They're just they're a well-oiled machine. Much as I really have fallen in love with this Philly team, I really hope that Dusty Baker finally finishes a glorious career.
2000 Olympics, I see your gold medal behind you on the wall there. Describe hitting that home run against South Korea to help complete the first U.S. Olympic gold medal in baseball.
It's kind of a crazy story. I hit a grand 3 days earlier in the preliminary round in the eighth inning. And fast forward to the semifinal game. Guy got walk. Mike Kincaid walked. We pinched, and time of the sword, I was going to make you bunt. And I go, I don't really care what I do, just we have to get this guy. It was like 40 degrees. It was rainy. It was just a bad like that during the game. We just didn't feel comfortable, and I had to bunt. Ball one. Second pitch, he put the bunt on again. 2-0. He hit and run. We hit and run. 2-1. He hits and runs me again. Well, Gookie gets picked off. There was probably a three kind of argument with Tommy going out there arguing the call, and just thinking to myself, like, how have I elevated a sidearm? And I thought to myself, well, just get out in front of a change. And I remember vividly to this day, I literally saw a snapshot of the ball coming up out of his hand. I thought immediately was like, oh God, don't miss this. I put a good swing on it. It was the most out of body experience I've ever had in my entire life. It was, okay, I can't believe I saw it before it happened and I didn't miss it. And after that, and I was totally okay with that because of the fact that the timing for our country and what it meant for that group of guys I was with, and an image I'll take to my grave.
So what meant more to you, winning that Olympic gold medal or being named the World Series champion?
That's a tough one. I think for me, it's the gold medal. You're playing for your country, and I was in 04. There were a lot of Yankee fans that weren't real happy with us. Fans didn't really care that we won the World Series, but say across your chest, I think the whole country's proud of us because it was the first time we've ever done it. And on the USA team in '94 as a college player, and had a chance. I signed pro in '95, so I missed. My mom was really upset at the time that I did and played for the Olympic team in '96, and that best amateur baseball team ever put together, and they came up short. Do something the way we did it in 2000. It's payback for all the years we came close, and
Well, Doug, you had a long career, and people, you had a great experience with a lot of different teams. I mean, other than the World Series, what are some of those things that stick out in your brain, whether it LA, Kansas City, Minnesota? I mean, what are some of those things? Because we don't get to experience the day-to-day things you got to, and especially you got to experience it in so many different cities.
People like high profile team, ball market. I never had the middle of the road. So each own, positives. I mean, I think if Minnesota, that system with, and I spent so much time with them. Those guys were like, go to Boston, which is a huge market with a great team, win a championship. I go to the Mets, and I didn't have the best of years trying to fight against the world for the Twins trading me. Playing in Boston was just as meaningful to me or Pittsburgh. I grew up in the Yankees, putting that uniform on. I never understood. I say, when you put the pinstripes on, it's different, and it's real. Putting that uniform on, I never wanted to take the expectation level you feel when you come out tonight, and there's 50,000 people there expecting their best, your best, and that's an expectation that I think every player wants.
Oh, we think we froze up there for a second. Well, while he's on that pause and thought, we're going to take a break. So stick with us on the Geary, Stein, and Steven show. We'll try to fix Doug's situation and get him back. Don't go away.
Hi, everybody. Dave Stevens from the Geary, Stein, and Stevens show. And you know what? The Arizona Cardinals take their turf outside in the middle of the week to make sure the sun gets to it. But we don't have that luxury for what we have down below. That's why we need to use the amazing Manscaped products like this crop preserver. I put it on my face, I put it down below, and I smell great. And of course, you know what? You got to follow up that with a crop reviver. You've got to use the Manscaped 4.0 and, of course, the Weed Whacker. The Manscaped products are great. I use them everywhere I go. My friends keep asking me, how can we get them? Well, if you type in the code GSS Show, you save 20% on all of the Manscaped products. They're great for everyone, and to quote Frank Thomas, she'll like it too.
You want 20% off the world's softest, comfiest, best-fitting men's clothes? Fresh Clean Threads has your back and your front and your sides with everything from tees to tanks, Henleys to pullovers and polos, all kinds of goodies and hoodies. Designer quality basics without paying ridiculous designer prices. Everyone deserves to look good and feel great. Confidence, you have them when you wear Fresh Clean Threads. Go to freshcleanthreads.com. Type in the GSS show code. You get 20% off on Fresh Clean tees. You will look good. And we look good. And let me bring in our guest again who looks good, Doug Meintkiewicz, joining us from Florida. And Doug, I know you had a lot of opportunities in your life to play for many different organizations, but I think the one that sticks out and that we want to talk about, and I know Troy has that question gearing up, is that experience was in Boston. Troy, you're kicking off our second part of the show. Go ahead, brother.
Before we get on to Boston, I want to ask you a question about the late PA announcer at the Metrodome, Bob Casey. Do you have any stories you'd like to share about him? And I remember how it echoed through the Metrodome, and hearing his voice announce your name and all your other teammates. It was a great thing.
And now we don't have Doug's audio for some reason. Doug's audio is not working. I think he's going to click on it and check it. Let's see if we're fixing it live on the air. And while we do that, we'll tap dance here. Doug, do you have us back? He's trying to fix it, but good question. And I do remember Bob Casey, just remember every time you go into the Metrodome and he would come out and make amazing, announcements for the players. Like when Kent Herbeck would come up, he would say, "No smoking anywhere in the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome." And the guys would do all this kind of thing. And it was really kind of cool. Let's see. Doug, are you there?
Host muted your mic.
There we go.
The host.
Doug is back.
Okay. There
For some reason,
go.
we did not
There you
have you. There we go. We got Doug. All right, Doug. So the question was memories of Bob Casey, the PA announcer at the Metrodome.
Yeah, I mean, he had the no smoke. Funny stories we've had. He always sat bottom behind the home plate, and our catchers would miss a ball. You'd see his hands get thrown up in the air. Just stuff like that. That he told you he was invested. Like he wasn't his voice to announce the players and what's going on. He really did. And, the whole no smoking in the all that stuff is people remember that for getting ready for a game. So stuff like that is I'll never forget. And their synopsis, their pair of voice in the Metrodome, getting ready for a game is well that he was there.
And you had, I know your time was brief in LA, but you also had some time to be around the Dodgers broadcast legend, Vince Scully. I mean, do you have any Scully stories to talk about that you intermittently was around him?
He never really pronounced my name right. I don't think I was there long enough. But you think back at, Stadium, Fenway Park, like all of these are, monuments, not even ballparks. So, and be able to put those uniforms on and to hear your name, even as a home player and as a visitor, is definitely.
So there's all these stories out there on the baseball you caught for the last out to win the World Series with Boston in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us the real story about it and how the ball ultimately ended up in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown?
Long enough to go and give you the whole entire story. Let's put it this way. It started out as I got kind of hamstrung by the Shaughnessy guy in Boston. He originally was doing an article as one of us was going to get traded after that year. Article was about me and Kevin's relationship going forward. Kevin and I would talk every day and just be like, "Yeah, where are you going?" Well, I heard I'm going to the Mets. So it was kind of a joke. And the last 10 seconds of "Oh, do you still have the ball?" And I heard, I bet you that ball would fetch a pretty penny. Yeah, maybe I'll put my kids through school. Well, at the time, I didn't have any cheek type thing. And next thing I know, out and I come back from my workouts, text messages on my phone. So I'm thinking somebody died. And the front page is Meintkiewicz won't give. The bottom line is Larry Lucchino never. When I got it authenticated after game 4, when we flown back into Boston, I saw him that day when the stickers on the balls, and he goes, and the guy from MLB said, "Is that the ball?" I said, "Yeah." And he didn't ask me for it, nothing. And then all of a sudden, and then the bottom line, he didn't want me to sell it, and I obviously would never think about selling that. He said he wanted it back because he wanted to charge Red Sox see it at the Fenway Museum. And I said, "Can't we do, let's say $1 or $2 to come see the ball goes to the Jimmy Foundation charity?" His exact quote to me was, we." So when I heard that, I was like, getting it. So I was kind of arrogant in how rude it was. The list goes on and how bad it got.
And we have lost Doug again, and I apologize for that. We'll try to get his signal back. So while we do that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll pay a few more bills, and we'll try to come back and finish up the show. So stay with us. Don't go away.
Hi, everybody. Dave Stevens here at the Jail Tree in Wickenburg, Arizona. And are you in boyfriend prison because you refuse to groom down below? Well, I've got your get out of jail free card right here if you use these amazing Manscaped products. I've got the Lawnmower 4.0 and, of course, the Weed Whacker right here. These products are amazing. You have to try them. And after we clean up the good parts, don't forget to use the Crop Reviver and the Ball Deodorant. And don't forget now, with the GSS show code, you get 20% off and you'll look much better.
So don't be like my friend here. Clean up your act so you're not tied to a jail tree, and the next time you get in trouble, it'll be with the ladies. Hey, buddy, you need to clean this part up.
That's right. You can get 20% off if you use the show code GSS Show. And don't forget, we also have some great new products. We have Athletic Greens 1, which I've been using for the last couple of weeks. It's a great drink mix that you mix, and I mix it with frozen fruit. I put it in the blender, and it's got 75 of the vitamins and nutrients that you're going to need. It's like $3 a day, which if you're using a Monster drink, Troy, you guys use those kind of things, and it really is easy to use. It doesn't taste bad. I feel great when I use it. I personally have been really enjoying it. I've been giving it to friends. They're trying it. They're picking it up now. So Athletic Greens 1, it really is awesome. I can't say enough about it. And again, when people hear about that we are associated with it, they're like, wow, it's a dang good product. And to make it easier for everybody out there, they're giving you a 1-year free supply of immune vitamin D and 5 free travel packs on your first purchase if you go to athleticgreens.com/GSS show. And I've been using them, Troy, you've been using them, and it's pretty good stuff. It tastes pretty dang good too, you know. So I've got the stuff here. I got my bag. I've got the bottle. Of course, I keep it clean because I put it in the blender. But, you know, for purposes, you know, you just use 1 scoop, you put it in, and it works well. And I get so pumped up, I jump in the shower with all of our wonderful Manscaped products again that we have that they continue to send us. So we have some great sponsors. Doug has stepped away for a minute while we talk for a second here. But, you know, Athletic Greens, man, look at me. I'm not as ugly and you know, puny as I used to be, right? What do you think?
Well, those vitamins and minerals are sure to look like they're doing a good job there, Dave.
That's right. And Will, how do you feel when you use your Athletic Greens 1?
I feel like I can hit a golf ball 300 yards right down the middle of the fairway. So, and with the Athletic Greens, it's like, hey, it's a tough green. Let's make the putt for birdie.
That's right. Let me just use a little of my Manscaped while we're waiting for Doug to come back. And, of course, thanks to our folks at Fresh Clean Threads. The shirts that we wear, obviously, this is not one of the Fresh Clean Threads. But, hey, what are you going to do? We're bringing Doug Meintkiewicz back on the show. Hopefully he can hear us and see us. Doug, can you see us and hear us? We've lost him again. Let's see if we can bring him back. He's got Ghosts and Goblins. He's got the Ghosts and Goblins coming out of Florida. But, Doug, are you there? We can't seem to get him to reestablish. I'm not sure. But, man, I had some good stuff to ask him. Troy, Will, you got any thoughts real quick?
I'm excited about the upcoming World Series between the Phillies and the Astros. It should be a good series to see. Hopefully, I want to see Dusty get a ring, but we'll see what happens because he's been an icon in baseball since I've been around anyway. So I'd really love to see Dusty get a ring.
Yeah, and hey, we're going to be there. We are going to be there. We get to be there. We're going to do coverage for Geary, Stein, and Stevens. I'll be at game, 3 of the World Series and maybe 4 and 5. I also will be at the Steelers-Eagles game on Sunday, so we'll have coverage for you. We continue to get to showcase part of Ability Media, part of the Disability Channel, and a big part of Geary, Stein, and Stevens as we get to do those things. So I think Doug is back. Doug, do you hear us?
Yep. So
Okay.
I don't know what the problem is.
Hey, it's Halloween, so I'll just chuck it up to the Ghosts and Goblins. But Will, you had a good question you wanted to ask Doug now that we've got him back.
So you seen Dave play baseball and work out with you while you were a player in New Brighton and worked out on sports camps for disabled kids with your own teams when you were a manager. Knowing what he has come to overcome to succeed, share your thoughts on Dave Stevens.
I was very, very fortunate of the things that Dave brings up. At us when I was a manager in Fort Myers. Obviously, it's so influential to our guys. It's an inspirational story for everybody because I think a lot of you're at or what you're doing in life, whether it's sports or seeing Dave just the things that he's had to push through. A lot of guys they get the woes. This is hard and make excuses. Well, taking batting practice with us and playing catch with us, and you're like, well, you're him complaining too much. If he's not complaining, you have no reason to either. And the special need camps are they did more for us than we did for the kids. It was always a highlight of our year. I was lucky to manage a lot of special young men wins, and to see them go up. When you hear you got to be at the camp at 9 a.m., you don't really know what it is. You're old. They're used to playing night games, so they didn't want to bounce back. What it was about. Those guys couldn't wait to be there. And the best part about it was a lot of our guys lack, like not with the camp, but like throughout, they became like team members. Every time they came to the field, we made sure because of anything that they, like their disability, we had a bond with them, and we enjoyed hanging out with them. Something that sometimes in life you need a little extra like motivation to kind of feel sorry for yourself, and you think you have issues you don't have. For 4, it put things in perspective for guys the proper. For me as a manager, it did for me as a player. Time I got a chance whenever I was managing, and whoever else would come out for these things because they were just that.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, Doug. It really means a lot to me. And it's funny because we go back to your New Britain days, when I was up here with the Rockcats working at ESPN, and you were up here with a lot of legendary names coming up through the ranks. And I just wonder if you could talk a little bit about, what it was like to play here with a guy named Big Papi, David Ortiz. You played in the minors up here when he was with the Twins, and then you ended up being a teammate with him and winning that first World Series. I wonder what your thoughts of what he was like in Minnesota before he was that superstar and where he got to that point in his career.
He was all super talented. I know we traded for him, and the first time I saw him practice, I thought I really have to learn another position. That's just not going to work. He can do getting to know him. It was an exceptional player. He was an even better person. Thinking the things like my team in Minnesota was so tight. We all were together. Then passed away. What a gut-wrenching night for all his family, and to see him go through his mother, which was his backbone, and then he gets on a team that we felt we were so close to the whole thing, to not get another crack to bring everybody back. Boston and sit. Us, because we knew he was he was a great player, and the best part of the time, well, can you believe what David did in Boston? 2002 stats. David missed half the year when we really opened up our division lead, won 20 homers and had 77 RBIs, and only played one half that year. The next year he did for a half for us. Phenomenal human being. He was talking about team jokester. It was constantly, he was always, Josh came to shove. He was the first guy I ever came around where he would go over 5 and get back on the bus and walk on the bus with confidence. I feel sorry for that guy tomorrow. And David would do it. You're like, he's right, because he's about to kill somebody. And literally, he'd go out. So he just had that aura. He was always my best, whether we played together or he was on the other team. He could see me wrong. So, like I said, he's like a brother to us. And before, I'll never forget, this is a great story. I'll never forget Twins and the Red Sox for spring training. So it was 2003, David's first.
Oh no. And we've lost his signal right in the middle of an important story about David Ortiz and spring training, and that's the problem with the internet and all of these things. If he pops back on, we can get him back here to wrap up the show quickly. I think he's back. Doug, are you there?
There we go.
Okay. We were in the middle of spring training 2003 with Big Papi.
Okay, quickly we go. So David's on the road. So he's coming to he's the road game for David. Well, David's out. Eddie Guardado, Torrey Hunter, Jock Jones, they go run over and they put a orange jumpsuit like correct small. And David's a large man. Forget this. So David comes out of the game and we're all the stars. David comes walking over with this orange, like this facility orange jumpsuit on that is skin tight past his elbows, and it's all the way above his knees, and they ripped the complete backside out of it, and I just never life, and it was just one of those moments where, like, that brotherhood, that was one of those moments that, like, that stuff that doesn't get makes what we do so special.
You were a finalist for the Twins manager job in 2015 season, and you also managed the minors. What is your managerial style like? Were you a laid back manager or a tense guy? And would you like to get back in it?
I think I was a little bit of both. I mean, whenever I get a chance to, like, my name comes up or something, and they're like, "Oh, I was a fiery player," but around I will be fiery, but like I also have and understand situations. I think I very part as a player, and yes, I have that managerial style. I like to think I'm when the world around me is burning down, and some people I know, Twins, every time something comes up, well, we need Doug's fire. I'm like, well, that's not really who I am as a manager. I always feel like when I have my men prepared, when I don't feel like I have them prepared in the right way, I'm fiery because I know I didn't get the pointers in the best position to win. So minor leagues, I felt like I was the most, because there's no more teaching to let them go play. They're amped up, they're excited. Work on your kids as long as you can, and you nail points, preach fundamentals. You work on their skills all for 1 week or whatever the minor league playoffs is. It's your time to kind of grasp a little bit and let them go play, and you get to sit back and watch them. And watching them, we won 2 championships, and sitting back and like kind of having like a calming smirk on my face, going, you have a proud parent moment where, like, you know what, these guys, they're having the time of their life and they're starting to understand it. So I miss it dearly. The way the professional game is, I'm not so sure anymore. So,
but hey, you're also a Gold Glover. I mean, people forget those kind of things that you did. You had a great career, Doug, and we just want to thank you for taking the time to reminisce a little bit about baseball. I know we have a big Minnesota contingency that are big fans of yours. I mean, which hat do you wear when you go to things? Like, do you just have one of each? Do you throw up when you're in an appearance or something?
I usually just have it. I don't think anybody can get too upset with that. So, I always twin. I'll always be a twin no matter where. No matter what, I'm a twin for life. It meant the most to me. We took to say they were mediocre at the time before we there was, and we brought respectability, and we brought to a city that deserves a really good baseball team. And that group, the group I had, kind of brought that back. We started the run and ran it through almost whatever 2010 or whatever. When I was also being managing there in the minor leagues, bringing in and Kepler and Barrios and Sano, Rosario, Blanco, bringing that second group up. I'm proud of all similarities in the group that I came up with as a player. And I still keep in contact with those guys, and but they're young men now, and they have families and other, and still, I still coach them from afar, and it means a lot. It means I did it the right way. These guys, whether I've clashed with them personality-wise, and see it that way, and they thought I was being unfair. Guys that have come out and reached out to me after managing, maybe we thought we had a problem with each other. So it lets me know that the way I used everybody, but my players respected it, and they still me, which means I did something right.
You definitely have. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and thanks for everything you've done for Boston and New York and Minnesota, and now in Florida as not a coach. But thanks for spending some time with us. Troy, Will, final thoughts?
Appreciate you taking time of your busy night to join us. I'm sure the people in Minnesota that we have a lot of viewers would love to hear this. So thank you.
I miss it. I miss it, and I thank you guys.
I'm sure you'll be on the Twins Fan Fest, right, next year?
Stay warm.
Oh, yeah.
Stay warm.
It was fun listening to some of your stories tonight. I enjoyed listening to some of your insights as a player and as a manager, and how all of our viewers learned about who Doug Meintkiewicz really is.
And all of the announcers are so happy that you retired, because I mean, what was the worst butchering of your name in your lifetime? Oh, well, he's back. See if we got him real quick. What was the worst butchering of your name? I know on ESPN, everybody, they could spell it wrong. They couldn't say it right. Like, you must have heard some dandies.
Some choice ones. Manischewitz. But I've heard them all. I always tell the story like roll called or in school, or whenever they're spitting names out fast and stops and looks at their piece of paper and goes, I'm here. Like that's or Doug, I'm like, I'm here. It's Meintkiewicz, but thank you. You can move on to that. I am here. The pause was always, I knew here it comes. I knew where I was supposed to be when I heard the pause.
Well, as long as Sid Hartman got it right, you knew that you'd made it in the big leagues. So
good old Sid Hartman. There's a blast from the past. A classic of always. He would talk to you, walk by, and then he'd just hold the microphone. Someone else walk by. He would just go right to the other. I'm like, I remember one time he did an interview with me, and I still was like his recorder, because he wasn't paying attention to me. Find David or Torrey, because they're better players than I was. Are you kidding me? You sang into my thing. I go, yeah, because you're looking around. You make eye contact with me, man. I go, you can't just look around. I go, you got free food you got in the Metrodome? I was like, come on, Sid. Like, if my words, at least look at me once in a while. So that was we had my microphone. So that was me and Sid.
That's a great way to end on the legendary Sid Hartman, a Minnesota sports writer who lived to be 100 years old. So all of us should hope to. All right. Well, thank you, Doug. And again, thank you. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. And again, thanks to our sponsors. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, especially Manscaped, Fresh Clean Threads, Athletic Greens 1. I mean, and again, we've got to tell you guys about some of these great things that we have out there. Of course, we told you about using the show code for Fresh Clean Threads, 20% off if you go to freshcleanthreads.com. Of course, Athletic Greens 1. Get the backslash on there at athleticgreens.com/GSS, and you get some free vitamin D and 5 packs on top of your subscription. And of course, last and certainly not least is Manscaped, which I use almost every day. I'm growing the beard back. Type in GSS show code for 20% off of Manscaped. I think I've covered everything, gentlemen. Another great show for Geary, Stein, and Stevens, and we will kick off our World Series coverage next week. So I'm excited about the weekend. What about you guys?
Yeah, we got football this weekend and baseball, and like I said, you're going to be at the Steelers-Eagles game, so that's exciting. And Will, what do you think of the World Series? What do you got?
I got Houston in 6. So this is an exclusive Gary, Stein, and Stevens show prediction of Houston in 6.
All right.
Dave, well, what do you got there, Dave? I know you're a Philly fan, or at least your son is.
My son is a Philly fan, but if he hears me say this, Houston in 4. I think it's going to be a tough one. But if you can get a good game or two out of NOLA, it's going to be competitive. But I just think, as much as I hate Houston, they are the hottest team. They've got the bats. They're going to out-homer you. They're going to out-pitch you. You don't want Verlander facing you in the postseason. So, 4 or 5 for Houston, sadly. How about you?
Yeah, I got Houston in 5. They're going to win at least one, probably game 3, because you'll bring them some good luck. And Will, what do we got for the Vikings? Who's going to win this weekend?
Well, Arizona hasn't beat Minnesota in Minnesota since 1977. I think Minnesota continues that winning streak today with a 27-17 win against the Arizona Cardinals.
And Dave, the Arizona native, you got your Cardinals winning this weekend?
No. I think the Vikings are going to destroy them, and that way I can continue to be happy about this football season. I'm digging this music, though, as we wrap up our show. Again, Geary, Stein, and Stevens. You can find it on all social media platforms, as well as wherever you find podcasts, Spotify, Apple, and wherever Troy dumps them. He's got them all constantly going someplace. So for Will and for Troy, I'm Dave Stevens. Thanks again, Doug Meintkiewicz. What a great show. We'll see you next time. We got some other exciting guests coming up. Exciting guests. So stay tuned. We love you.